Welcome back to More Than a Statistic. I would now like to introduce you to my friend, Emma Vosicky. Emma is a business and business litigation attorney serving as executive director of Gender Nexus, an agency in Indianapolis which empowers gender-diverse people and their loved ones to lead healthy, authentic, and joyful lives. Her LGBTQ+ advocacy has included education, training, and fundraising with Youth Outlook, working with the Transformative Justice Law Project of Illinois' Name Change Initiative, and serving Equality Illinois as a community advisory group member and project manager for its Boards and Commissions project. Emma is also a published writer, storyteller, and public speaker. We are thrilled to have Emma help us become more accepting as friends, family members, and coworkers. Welcome, Emma.
One question I often hear is, how do we see beyond gender? And the answer, at least for me, is we don't. Why would we? It's like the person who says, well, I don't see race, to which I keep thinking, what? Of course we do. The real issue is, what do we do with this information about all the differences in human beings? Do we open ourselves to a sense of appreciation and gratefulness that we live in an awesomely complex and beautiful universe filled with variety? Or do we become afraid and angry in response to that beautiful complexity? So, since 5 minutes won't even begin scraping the surface, let's use these minutes to open our minds to possibilities which can encourage us to explore the amazing variations involving sex, gender, and gender identity. And we'll start from here. Sex is a letter designation, often F or M, that appears on a birth certificate after an often cursory assessment of a person's body. But in our system, it carries massive social, legal, and medical implications. Reducing people to an M or F and assigning roles based on that does an injustice to our universe, because from a medical science perspective, sex isn't determined by how you look or whether you have XX or XY chromosomes. For instance, there are at least 16 different sex chromosome pairings which commonly occur in human beings. It's possible for someone who's XX to present as male, and for someone who's XY to present as female. Some of the factors determining a person's sex are external body structures, internal reproductive organs, chromosomes, genes, enzymes, hormones, the sensitivity of a cell's hormonal receptors, gender identity, and brain structure. It is beautifully complex. Gender identity is another facet of our amazing world. It's each person's deeply held sense, psychological knowledge of their own gender. It's one aspect of who we are, and yet it goes to the very core of who we are and how we understand the world and our place in it. The need to be true to the core of who we are is so fundamental and essential that it exists regardless of words. So, short story. When I was growing up, it was, shall we say, several decades ago. And at that point, almost no words existed regarding what it meant to be transgender. In fact, the word transgender itself didn't exist. And yet, from the time that I was little, I had this constant need to keep seeing myself through the lens of being female. It would be 15 years before I would see a Look magazine, only people as old as I know what it is, with an article that was about trans folks. And in there was this photo of a young woman in her 20s, a designer about to get married. And when I looked at the photo, I realized she's trans. And for the first time in my life, I saw myself. I knew who I was. I knew I had finally come home. And folks can do whatever they want. They can put up barriers, they can put up obstructions, They can stand in the way and make it impossible for others like myself to go home. But ultimately, all that does is damage another human being, which is wrong. For the people who say, in relation to trans and non-binary folks, I don't get it, my response is always, breathe. It's okay. You're not going to get it because it's not your experience. People who are female have no experience of what it means to be male or vice versa, but that doesn't mean that the other person's experience doesn't exist. What's not okay is for any individual to assume that their experience of the universe is the only experience and to then invalidate, disrespect, and close their mind to others' experiences, including those of gender diverse folks. The single most important thing we can do is not to get hung up on what we perceive as a person's sex or gender, but instead to see that person's humanity, that like every other human being, they should be respected and appreciated for who they are, and that we should be grateful for the amazing variety they bring to our world.